Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to Total War Attila. We're going to be diving in and taking a look at the brand new update for Ancient Empires, which brings the ancient world to Attila Total War. This update is absolutely huge. It completely revamps, I think, 12 of the playable factions, making them a lot more streamlined and easier to play. So I highly recommend, if you have not played Ancient Empires recently, going ahead and giving it another go, because they've gone ahead and kind of, as I said, streamlined the way things work to make it a lot more accessible for people. I think a lot more of the building chains make sense now. The combat has been, I guess, changed a little bit to make it kind of just play out a little bit more standard like Total War. And there's just been a whole other ton of changes, which I'll make sure to go ahead and link to the mod page down below so you can check them out for yourself. I'll also be sure to link to the Discord itself. So as I said, we're going to dive in as a campaign and we're going to mess around with them. I can go kind of show you guys how some of the features work, what's available in the mod, so that you guys can get a better understanding of it. As well as that, if you guys are going to enjoy this video and you want to see me kind of continue on this campaign for another couple episodes, maybe we can set ourselves a mini goal or two. All you have to do is go ahead and drop a like on the video. If we get over 500 likes, I'll do another episode. That kind of seems to be the standard I want to set, and it's basically, you know, it's like I don't really want to commit to a full-on campaign, but if the viewership is there, if you guys enjoy the game and you get it to 500 likes, I'll be more than happy to do another episode or two. I'm also planning on kind of editing these down just a tad from the comments you guys left on the last Alexander campaign. I think what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cutting out kind of maybe parts of the campaign itself, but leaving in the battles mainly in its entirety. So I thought it'd be fun to play as Carthage, because everyone always plays as Rome, as Scipio, as this is set in the end of the Second Punic War. Everyone always plays as Rome, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to maybe jump in as play as Carthage, because they're still like a super major faction. But, you know, they're not Rome, so they're a little bit different to Rome. They work kind of quite differently with mercenaries and stuff like that. You can see, though, there are a ton of other factions that you can play as, and many of these have received overhauls in this most recent patch. So let's jump in as Carthage, as Hannibal. So yeah, as I said, the campaign itself is set just before the Battle of Zama, so, you know, it's coming to the end of the Second Punic War. Obviously, the Battle of Zama was really the final nail in the coffin after Scipio had landed in Africa, and they have recently removed it. So kind of, I think the Battle of Zama is a good example of some of the stuff they've done to make the campaign more accessible. So previously, the campaign itself, if you play as Rome or Carthage, used to start off automatically with the Battle of Zama, which just kind of throwed you into this massive 40v40 stack campaign, which went ahead, or battle that, you know, you had to fight out right away. Now you kind of have a little bit more security in when you begin the campaign. You've got a bunch more missions and stuff. We can look after that in a second from here. But now you start off right here on the plains of Africa with Hannibal set up, getting ready to fight Scipio, both your armies. So now, instead of having 40 units to command, you only have 20. And I kind of feel like that's a good description of what the mod has evolved into. It's kind of made it a lot more accessible, as I've been saying. You know, instead of having to command these huge armies right away, you're kind of thrown in with, you know, a big battle, which I definitely think this is how all Total Wars should start, with one big engagement, 20v20 stack, maybe a little bit of story, and then you dive into the sandbox. So, you know, this is kind of what I love to have happen. But if you didn't want to fight Scipio, for example, you couldn't. You could just go back to Hadrimentum if you wanted, recruited more soldiers, or something along them lines. So I like this change. You know, it does take away this epic grand scale that maybe me with a supercomputer can run pretty well, but for the most people, I don't think this is exactly what they are looking for when they load this up. And yeah, it makes sense. I think, you know, as much as I kind of prefer the other system, it makes sense that we turn up the music a little bit as well, as it does have the Rome Total War music on it in the background, so that's always great to hear. Yeah, it's just always awesome to hear this music. So, as I said, you start off with a few missions as well as Carthage to basically reclaim back our lost lands, because obviously after the end of the First Punic War, and we losing Spain in the Second Punic War. You can see Carthage is kind of a lot weaker than it once was, and Rome is kind of benefiting from the gold mines and silver mines in Spain. But obviously, as well as that, this war has been going on for 18 years, so both sides are very war exhausted and tired, and enemies are closing in from every single side. So I think both Rome and Carthage play as if they play very kind of depleted at the beginning of the game, and you kind of have to build them up. Even though they start off very large, you have to kind of build them up. So as you can see, the building system is pretty cool. We can actually just go ahead and select a building in Hadrimentum. You have a bunch of buildings that you can pick from, some of which giving you like food, so you can go ahead and get land grants. I do really love the way that buildings are done in this. You kind of start off with like land grants, so you're giving land to farmers and people, and then you kind of decide how you want it to go. Do you want to give it to the rich and make them kind of run it more as a business? Do you want to give it to like cattle and let farmers do it, which is kind of like a mix between lots of cash and food? Or you want to just give it to the peasants, let them farm it to produce as much food as possible? And this is a theme that kind of runs throughout the mod. It's kind of very similar as well with the main building chains as well, that do you want to create a tributary state within your kingdom? Do you want to create a Punic colony, or do you want to create an allied state or an autonomous state? Obviously an autonomous state has all its power, so it's not going to be as unhappy, but it's not going to give you as much money because it's autonomous. Or would you want to create a tributary state that has a lot less power, a lot less autonomy, but gives you a ton of money? So because they're giving you a ton of money, they're a lot less happy with you. So you can see that native discontent on the left hand side, and each of these buildings give you your own kind of set bonuses. So it's just stuff like that. It kind of adds realism into the game, and a lot of the mechanics make sense. So let's just dive into a battle right away, I think. Actually, maybe we could just look at more of the building system, because we have 8 grand to begin this with. So maybe, definitely improving our roads. So getting some paved roads in Carthage itself would be nice, because that's a great bonus. This is also something that the mod does. It increases, so a lot of the public buildings like sewers and aqueducts, paved roads, amphitheaters, stuff like that, and libraries as well is a good example, has a maintenance cost. So you have to kind of keep these up to scratch as a lot of people are using them, and it's kind of like a state-run cost, kind of like the NHS, or like a health service almost. Yikes, I probably shouldn't have said that, all you Americans out there. But anyway, we have paved roads, so let's go ahead and grab them up. We also have access to the Carthaginian docks. Obviously, the highest rank, it becomes absolutely insane. They do take quite a while to build, so you kind of have to almost think preemptively before you kind of stick down buildings. You're like, okay, what's the situation going to be like in 7 turns? Do I want to build this? Can I afford the upkeep cost, the maintenance cost for this building in 7 turns? And I really love that like strategic planning. It's really, really cool. And again, just adds in a lot more flavor. So we could build some sewers, and then obviously upgrade to an aqueducts if we needed to. These obviously cost a lot, but they sort out a lot of these this squalor that is created by more industrial buildings that we do have, especially as we increase kind of our main building. So yeah, let's go ahead and build an underground sewer in Hadrimentum, and that should help out for the entire system itself. It's quite a lot of our money. Again, buildings are very expensive. Something I found with this mod is units are cheap to recruit, kind of expensive to upkeep, and buildings are super expensive. Again, it kind of gives you a greater feel of scale. Over on the left hand side, we could actually upgrade over here as well. Let's do that. So what do we want to build? Do we want to build like a sewer network? Do we want to build roads over here? This is a very, very long stretch of our coastline, right? And we're going to need to have access to this if we want to then invade the south of Spain. So I think actually building some paved roads here is a great idea. It also gives you quite a decent amount of money from local commerce as well, 15% extra. Not that we actually do have a merchant port here as well, so that's probably really, really good. Can we actually like properly look into the cash? I'm sure we can somewhere. You can look there and facilities and stuff. I'm not 100% sure where you actually fully look, but I know it's I know it's like you can look a bit more in depth. So let's pick up some roads right here, would be perfect. We have our navy off the coast of the Roman navy, which we don't need to engage. So let's pick up an extra unit of, maybe another unit of mercenaries, and then let's dive in and we'll fight the Battle of Zama against Scipio. And I think the armies as well have been a lot more balanced, I think, in the campaign. So instead of before, in you know, the past versions of the game, where I think the Romans just had such a great advantage that it was almost impossible to win, I think now it's much more accessible to win the Battle of Zama as Carthage, especially against the AI as well. The AI doesn't really put up that much of an an amazing fight. This is definitely best played with a friend in head-to-head, which I'm currently doing with a friend right now, and it's made for a very, very exciting campaign. Both of us are fighting hard to try and win the day. So we have some slingers, we have some javelins and stuff, which we will just stick out on our front line instead of our punic infantry. We have some elephants as well, so we'll leave our elephants back on the right. The Romans have a lot of javelins that we want to try and avoid. And then we have, maybe we can set like a little ambush, as we do have some Spanish units right here. You can see the Carthaginian army right here is a big kind of wealth of different factions. We have kind of our elite African veterans right here that have fought upon, every theatre. It's been in Rome, they've been in Spain, and now they're back in Carthage. You have some of our Punic hoplites, and then we also have kind of Gallic infantry as well. As lightly armoured as these guys are, they actually do pack one a hell of a punch, and they're really strong infantry. Like, they're just good warriors, which we're going to have to use fairly effectively. And then we have our cavalry, which is not going to be a match for the Numidian Roman cavalry. We actually do have some Numidian cavalry ourselves, but obviously it's quite famously known in the Battle of Zama that the Numidians did actually end up siding with the Romans in the battle. So let's go and set up like this. I mean, the AI is going to be stupid anyway, so we can kind of don't have to play super seriously. But I'm really hoping that we can kind of launch an ambush onto the Romans. It'd be great. I mean, it seems for the most part that they are going to be sitting back there, but it'd be great if we could like bait them into this central place and then spring this ambush. That'd be absolutely awesome. You can also see when it comes to battles that the AI does try and form formations as best as they can. They're currently set up, with 2 ranks, and they try to use this as best as they can, as much as a Total War battle AI can. They try to keep ranks, and they try and allow to have multiple ranks so they can reinforce when they need to. When units get tired, they kind of get pushed up here. Don't really know why the AI thinks it's what's it up to. It should just be staying there because I'm attacking them, so it's no problem. Another really big thing when it comes to battles is fatigue makes an absolutely massive difference to the engagement. You have to keep your units fresh, otherwise they're going to get cut down and slaughtered. Units who are exhausted fight appallingly, like they should. So it's always a good idea to march in certain places. It's always a good to kind of catch your breath before engaging. And it's a very good idea to keep a line of reserve so you can commit fresh units when you need to. Because if you're fighting exhausted units and with exhausted units and then you bring in a fresh unit of infantry, you're going to be doing one hell of a job. So let's go ahead and, I'll just cut this out as we kind of close the distance towards the enemy. I don't know if they're going to come at me, but maybe I can bait them in. Okay, here we go. So I wanted to try, as I said, to encourage the AI to come forward. I moved forward a unit of my slingers. Now it's going to bring them up. We're going to have to run them, but it's kind of a necessity. Let's throw forward some of our Numidian cavalry to meet theirs. I really do want to try and catch them in this open area as best as I can. It looks like they were, trying to chase a few of my horses down, which is fine. Try and bring back these slingers. If they want to engage here, I'm more than happy to take this fight with the cavalry because we're so much closer to my battle line than theirs. No, looks like they're going to pull out. They've obviously got a lot of skirmisher cavalry that they're just going to try and use to the best of their ability. If we can maybe get some of our melee cavalry engaged in this, it'd be perfect. But they're obviously like cavalry. It's going to be very hard to catch these guys, but we do. Okay, let's also get the elephants over here. And I might even try and get Hannibal into this engagement as well. Javelins are just going at it right now. As I said, I'm more than happy to engage if we need to. So some of the things to keep in mind when the battle kind of occurs, you may notice that maybe some units end up breaking or routing and it doesn't really make sense like to a normal Total War player. You just got to keep in mind, I think the best way to describe how battles work in ancient empires is it just makes sense. If a unit gets enveloped, even if it's got 120 men, if it's a medium to low tier unit, it's going to break. Imagine in real life being completely surrounded by a unit, you're going to say, screw this, I'm out of here. I'm going to try and drop my weapon and sword and get the hell out of there. You know, you're going to try and find a gap in their surround, you know. It's stuff like that which kind of, you might think, well, that's dumb, right? In Total War, I have a unit for the start you completely envelop, but they fight on, you know, until they get lower numbers. And it's just something you got to keep in mind with that's not really how Ancient Empires work. Ancient Empires tries to create a realistic battle, and sometimes it may feel, you know, like something dumb happens, but I think for the most part it does a really good job of achieving that, you know. So, you know, if exhausted units are fighting, obviously they would be, you know, less likely to do damage. Okay, cool. So they are still advancing in their 2 ranks, which is fine. Our elephants are making their way over to this fight. Hopefully the javelins don't take care of me. I might even bring Hannibal over here. Yeah, our javelins are just kind of dealing with theirs as best as we can. Cavalry fight is going on. I really don't want to spring my trap quite yet. The elephants are now engaged, but I need to be so careful, right? Because these javelins are going to do some great damage to me. Probably best to bring back my javelins in a second. Yeah, nice. We smashed their cavalry. We smashed some of their Numidian cavalry. Now let's just pour in right here. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, also let's retreat back our skirmishers. African veterans form shield wall. You guys form that as well. Elephants are doing fine, but they are getting hit pretty hard by that. So let's try and get Hannibal over there. And their front line is pushing. Okay, now is the time to spring our trap. Another very, very interesting mechanic in this game is that units move slowly. It's not like you can completely remaneuver your battle line. Like right now, if I wanted units on the left flank, it's going to take a lot of time to achieve that. And that's something that's really, really cool in Ancient Empires. Kind of ambushes like this are effective because it takes a while to completely reform up your battle line. I'm killing a few of my own units here, so let's hold fire right there. Hannibal is engaged right now with the elephants. I need Hannibal to go and chase them Numidians down though. You know, like doing certain maneuvers takes a while. And look how awesome our line looks as well right there. Whew, baby, that looks cool. As it's receiving Peeler Fire. So Peeler Fire also does heavily affect the unit's stats. You can take a look at it right now. Because we're taking Peeler. I think Peeler is a bit different. So Javelin reduces our shield defense and charge bonus. So it's to kind of create that idea. We're also taking a lot of fire right now. We need to maybe try and close this distance because this Peeler is slaughtering us right now. So let's just get up in their face, try and get our units involved, get our, you know, barbarian units involved as well. Hannibal can keep on chasing. Cavalry fight is surprisingly going well for us, so I'm not going to complain. So our Punics are involved. Yeah, our Punic hoplites are involved. Let's push forward the African veterans. These are like the strongest unit in our arsenal for sure. Quickly go and form up our test judo really quickly. We also have some slingers back here. Let's go and try and maybe hit Scipio with our slingers. We'll bring around these guys. And I guess again we'll just go crushing in. I want to throw both my javelins, but I think one's fine. So they'll throw javelins in and hit the AI. As I said, this battle mechanic is definitely best used with a friend. Like if you have a friend to play with, I highly recommend giving Ancient Empires a go because you can actually kind of utilize reinforcements and, you know, reserves a lot more effectively, and I think that creates for a much more enjoyable experience than just kind of what the Total War AI is capable of, you know. So my African veterans will hold, and the great thing is, so one of the big, so like when I said earlier how certain units even a Praetorian Guard unit, one of the strongest Roman infantry units, that unit would probably lose to a low tier peasant unit if they were exhausted. The thing is though, an elite Praetorian unit gets exhausted a lot slower. So because of that, you know, they can basically duke it out a lot more against lower tier units. And even if they get exhausted, the unit they're fighting is going to kind of eventually get exhausted as well. And that's going to kind of even out the stats. So, you know, even though it might sound a little bit silly, maybe exhausted units getting beaten by weaker ones, it makes sense, right? It definitely does make sense. So nice, we managed to beat the Roman cavalry, which is huge. In the head-to-head I was fighting, it was almost impossible to beat the Roman cavalry. It really was. The Numidians are super strong. Okay, perfect. We've been throwing javelins in. Now we can commit some of our Gallic barbarians. I guess barbarians, but I mean, still, these guys are really strong. No guts, no glory indeed. So we'll completely envelop the Roman right flank. And we have some elephants as well. We can just smash in perfect. Luckily, their javelins are there. And oh yeah, perfect. You know, Scipio has been taken out. Our little ambush worked effectively. So in the head-to-head I was playing, I found it almost impossible to kill the Roman cavalry. However, these Scutari, I basically did exactly what I just did against the AI to an actual player, and it worked so effectively. I engaged his front line. I kind of brought these guys around, and he had a lot more of his infantry on the left-hand side. I also didn't use my elephants until right towards the end of the battle, which meant that he had kind of already committed most of his javelins, or he was trying to save his javelins, which meant my battle was much more effective. It was just really cool. Like, I really feel like this is just so much fun in the head-to-head scenario. And you can see right here as well, like, a lot of the Roman line is breaking. So, again, generally when an army starts to break, it will just break. There's no kind of super close, like 100 men beat 100 men. And some people might not like that, but again, it's trying to represent more of a realistic style of battle. It's trying to represent that the majority of the time, 40% of the army would probably die or rout before, you know, the battle was over, instead of like 99% casualties or whatever. It'd be generally around about, you know, 30 to 40% of an ancient army would kind of die or break before the battle was over. That's kind of represent that. Now, more elite units and more veteran units are more likely to hold and stick around, but even the most elite units can end up breaking if the battle is just lost, because there's like no reason for them to stick around. Let's actually just commit a unit to go and stop these javelins from shooting Hannibal, because it would really suck if Hannibal ended up dying at the Battle of Zama after he won the battle, because he's such a great general that you really want to utilize him. So elephants are crushing in now against the Roman flank. And you can see, like, situations, they are holding, you know, even though they've lost their left flank. You know, I'm coming crushing in with elephants and infantry. They are still sticking around. You know, battles do tend to last a long time, but they can quickly go south. You know, if a lot of negative things do happen, and armies are capable of just completely routing. But I feel like once you start to understand the battles, you can really, you know, get good at fighting. So right now, this is like a perfect example. I've got my elite African veterans here fighting against a large portion of infantry, and you can see I'm eager right now. I'm fresh, where it's very exhausted because they ran at me, and they're attacking me, and I'm in a defensive position. So, and this is like an elite unit, so it's less likely to get tired. And you can really start to see that, unfolding. The elephants are slaughtering right now. It's just perfect. Let's go and bring out this unit that still has its javelin throw left, and we'll commit up this unit as well. So stuff you can do as well in battles like this. Like, if I had a secondary line, what I could do is I could throw in this unit of javelins or infantry and bring out this unit of my Punic spears and let them rest. If a unit stands still, obviously it will get its energy back. But if I'm constantly engaging against the Principes, they're fighting, so they're not going to get their energy back. So there's a lot of little mechanic things like that you can do to create some pretty exciting battles. And battles do tend to last a decent amount. Like, as long as you've got 2 decent stacks, battles do tend to last a longer period of time. So if you are looking for a bit more of a in-depth kind of longer battles, you know, if you're more of a fan of like Rome Surrectum for Rome Total War, I'm sure you're going to absolutely love this mod. So let's just bring some cavalry around. Our cavalry got slaughtered, even though we like engaged them pretty effectively. And like, as I said, like again, like this unit has been surrounded. It's a Principe unit, so it's tier 2. It's decent. They can kind of keep their own. It's enveloped on like 3 fronts. It's still got 1, you know, so it's not completely enveloped. But generally what would happen with this unit is when it gets exhausted, it will probably run. That's kind of like a ticking time bomb for most units. If a unit's enveloped, but it's still pretty decent, it will kind of hold until it gets exhausted, and then it will just decide to go, you know. It will just be like, okay, we can't fight this, we're enveloped, we're losing, it's time to flee. If no other factors are to, you know, accommodate that. So let's set up these barbarians there. The elephants are still going around. So it looks like we've fairly easily won the Battle of Zama, I'd say. So let's bring these guys round. I'm kind of tempted to walk them just to kind of get a little bit more energy back, but just some Velotes holding as my cavalry. And so you can see, even Velotes can hold it. If they don't get like dramatically charged, they kind of effectively hold that. Okay, now it's come flying in. Point blank javelin throw, and then we'll hit them from this side. My units are a bit tired, but so are theirs. Their men are getting exhausted now, and we should hopefully be able to close the distance off. The elephants can keep on coming in. I mean, how many kills are the elephants on now? 400 kills. Yeah, they can be so deadly. They really can. And now we're just slowly grinding them down. I'm super surprised that these velites are still remaining on the field, honestly. I mean, I guess it's probably because they haven't been, like, charged. And they're very tired. They're not, like, exhausted or anything. Let's just bring Hannibal out. I mean, he loses a lot of men on retreating from that. But I'm hoping we can just charge. Please say Hannibal is not dead. This would be hilarious if I killed Hannibal already. No, he's still alive, thank God. You can see him as well right there if you want to. Yeah, he's quite bloodied though. He might lose his other eye. Covered in blood. I might just leave Hannibal here. Well, they are actually bringing back more sword infantry as well, trying to retreat back to save their back flank. Let's just kind of commit in these velites now to complete the envelopments and, you know, help win the day. Screw it, let's charge in. Let's charge in. Our cavalry's exhausted. This should be enough to break this unit of velites, honestly. I'm just really hoping we don't lose Hannibal. It would suck so much. Okay, that should be enough to break them. Yeah, there you go. They're starting to go now. One bridge charge. Missiles are extremely vulnerable to charges. And you can see, like, their TREI is holding. Some meanness are going. I'm super surprised that they're holding as much as they are, but shout out to them. I think we just need maybe some cavalry charges would be more than enough. Maybe like a nice little cavalry charge here would probably be plenty to break them. We'll bring some velites around. Oh, we could throw some velites. That wouldn't be bad either. Throw some javelins here into their side. Because again, you've got to remember that also reduces their melee defense quite a lot as well. So it's great to try and take that down if you can. Because they're receiving missile fire, so it's obviously to represent less shield, speed, and also damage. Yeah, let's just move in with our cavalry here and try and end this battle then. We're pretty tired, but a nice cavalry charge should be good enough to break this, right? And then you can start to see the army. You know, the army's lost now, so it's just all going to go. That's perfect. Generally, what I tend to do in this game is, like, I give myself 30 seconds to run down units because, again, this is kind of supposed to represent an army just full-on breaking. And, you know, generally armies didn't fight to the death, did they? Unless they were in, like, a siege with no escape. So I like to give myself, like, 30 seconds to a minute to chase down enemy units as kind of like a killing after a rout, and then call it a day. Because sometimes you can end up with battles where you kind of fight for 40 minutes, and you only ended up killing like 1,000 of theirs, and you only end up losing like 500 of your men. So it's kind of a pretty even stagnant fight. You just have to fight again, because if you do win 2 battles in a row, you do wipe the army. So I kind of like that system. Maybe you have to fight an army twice. You kind of beat it back, but then the armies just disengage, and then you go in again. So you have access to release and ransom the characters. Obviously, enslave, get more replenishment, or kill the captives. I'm probably going to... that's a lot of money, actually. Like, you don't make a lot of money in the early game. You can see we're actually losing money right now. So taking that would be perfect. Scipio did survive, but hey, not for much longer. I want to make sure we kill Scipio Africanus. His brother is still alive, so you can try and get revenge for the family. And we might not have actually killed him as well. Maybe Scipio will make another appearance. I mean, I think we killed him, but I'm not sure. Sometimes he just gets like injured and stuff. And again, another 200 gold, but we'll take 3% replenishment. And we can get back in friendly territory. I'm not sure if we're going to replenish. Oh, we replenish so much. I guess because we're in Carthage, it makes sense. So skill trees have been completely revamped as well in Ancient Empires. The general skill trees, I think, are the same no matter what faction you play. But the army skill trees are different for every faction. So, for example, Hannibal gets a lot more cheaper mercenaries. He gets more mercenary upkeep. He also gets a really interesting ability. I think he has it on a couple of these. Upkeep when in foreign territory, which I think is a very cool thing. You know, it kind of speaks to Carthage invading Rome and stuff, so you get cheaper units when you're fighting in enemy territory. Something also really important to note as well is that I'll just quickly do this. So actually, I'll talk about this first. So you have like some stuff that gives you military stuff, and these are governor setups as well. So governors are good. Command, for example, means that you do, you know, much better stuff in battle. Gives you really good inspire and rally. Management affects the way that you, like, a city grows. Gives you sanitation. Basically, the way that a city is, you know, developed and managed. You get more tax rate if you're a governor. You get cheaper buildings and quicker buildings. Whereas popularity is more to do with like public order. how much do people love you. So, for example, you have to really try and manage with your governors. I feel like governors are actually important in ancient empires when they're not really in Total War Attila. You have to kind of be like, oh, would I want this city to be really well developed like Carthage and kind of have cheaper and faster buildings? Or do I want do I want the people just to love me? I want the culture to be really improved, native discontent, so like foreigners to be happy. So you kind of maybe want popular characters out on the frontier and new places you're taking, and then kind of in your heartland you want people who are really good at management. And obviously if they're bad at the skill as well, they provide negative effects. So a really bad commander won't be good at command. It's not just like at level 1 he's okay, but then he gets progressively better. No, if you're a level 1 commander, you're going to be awful at command. So let's go ahead and just stick up. We'll get the campaign movement range, of course, and probably the upkeep as well, because it saves us a lot of money. So one of the things I was going to mention, also, technology is completely different for every faction as well, so you have a lot of like upgrade setups, and this was something which I thought was really cool in the technology tree, is that you start off with this returning champion. So Hannibal has returned from Rome, and his men are very loyal to him, and the people love him, so he gets +2 public order. However, if you take this path in the tech tree, you can exile Hannibal, which will remove that returning champion bonus of 2 public order, but will make all your units a lot cheaper. I thought that was just really cool and a kind of a bit of lore friendly, because obviously historically that's what they did. So that's kind of a cool little neat thing in the tech tree. But yeah, the tech trees are pretty expansive. You kind of get unit upgrades, you get improved staff buildings, more diplomatic relations, so on and so on. You kind of like the usual stuff, good native discontent debuffs. So native discontent is going to kind of be your main issue in the early game. A lot of your cities that aren't your culture will be affected mostly by native discontent. So you want to try and assimilate people and get that native discontent down as best as you can. We can quickly just do diplomacy really quickly. I guess getting some trade would be a pretty good idea with a few of these factions if they want it. Maybe non-aggressions. So diplomacy, again, in this mod is pretty important. You want to make sure you choose who you're friends with quite carefully. You don't want to just get as much trade with everyone as you can, because the people at war with them might not like that. You basically just want to try and get non-aggressions with a bunch of people, friendship with a bunch of people that you feel like you kind of want to back their horses in the race of this campaign. People you don't want really attacking you, but who aren't at war. So a lot of people in Spain, for example, so we want to get non-aggressions like everyone out here. Probably want to get non-aggression with you as well. Just so no one jumps us quite heavily. So like in Spain, it's kind of quite good because everyone hates Rome in Spain. I mean, everyone hates me as well because of the atrocities that Hannibal committed in Spain. But, for the most part, they also hate Rome. They see Rome as a current invader, so I can kind of maybe sway them to my side. It's going to be hard to do so, but getting them to also attack Rome is a good idea. However, Rome does have a few client states over in Spain as well, which are going to be annoying to deal with. So besides that, we also have our governors, as I was saying, so we can go ahead and deploy some governors right off the bat. Let's see if anyone got any good traits. So he's unpredictable, not really a good manager. We've got an okay manager, is a paranoid governor. So these traits are all unique to every single character. Some are really good, some are really bad. Okay, so this guy is really popular. He's got the silver tongue, so he gives a lot of public order bonuses. So he'd be great for a governor. So who are you? You are this guy. Is that Bumnakar? Bumnakar, yeah? Yeah, silver tongue. So you'd be great maybe out here, somewhere where it's not exactly very happy. So yeah, you'd be great right here, because you could obviously use your high management, your high popularity to make the people like you. Yeah, you have 9, oh my god, that's crazy. Such high popularity, 9 popularity. That's going to be huge. It's going to help convert the population, because as you can see, they're kind of currently, is that African? Berber, they're currently Berber. So this is going to help kind of boost our state religion, and also keep the people just a lot happier. If you can see, I imagine governors and characters is 4, and obviously as he levels up as well, I can take up, other stuff that is really good, reducing native discontent, improving sanitation and public order, improving taxes, and so on, and so on and so on. Oh, I could also get a poet as well. I feel like that's a waste though. I mean, that is a big boost. That is a huge boost. but it's fine. We'll give that on another governor that maybe has good management. So again, let's go back. So let's see, do we have any other good governors? Pretty decent popularity. You're an aspiring hero, which is good. Okay management. So you're okay. Probably don't want to use you too effectively though. We've got another aspiring hero. Hanover Third, what you got for me? Okay, cool. This is great. Hanover Third is a administrative genius. So he is really, really good bureaucracy, which is definitely, we want this guy. Definitely want this guy. Hanover Third. You're pretty young as well. Yeah, you're really young. That's perfect. You can govern Carthage, which is Africa, yeah. You can govern Carthage for sure. And what I'll probably do actually is give him the poet to improve his popularity. So then he'll go up to 7 popularity just to help with, you know, conversion and other stuff. So that's pretty good. I mean, do we have anyone else inept? You're charismatic, so you're okay. I guess. Not really that amazing. I probably won't put someone down in the south quite yet. Wait until we get a bit more money. Probably breeding games everywhere. It's going to be good because it's going to improve our, you know, cultural influence. Or do we just want to like assimilate right away because it's state? So I'm pretty sure in the game, cultural influence means other cultures affecting you. So if we do breeding games, it's kind of like a lot of people are coming in, and it's going to negatively affect how our culture kind of, you know, sticks around. We might actually want to acquire some food. We're currently losing food in this region. Yeah, we're losing some food right now, which isn't great, and that's going to really affect public order as well. So I might actually just do the edict to acquire some food. It's going to reduce our income, but we're barely making anything from this outer province at the moment, so that's a good idea. And yeah, cool, let's just move our army back. So holy crap, that was our first turn. Oh, we can still do tech as well. We'll just go, yeah, we'll do some civic stuff, and we've got that as well, yeah. Man, sorry, that was a 40-minute turn. I was like, yeah, I'm going to edit this down, let you guys know more about it and stuff. Yeah, I must have lied, because I feel like all of that is important information, giving you a good idea about the mod and stuff, so hopefully it's okay. Rome also has a client state, Massalia, or whatever they're called, not Massalia. And they're going to be obviously a pain in our arse as well. We need to make sure we kill them, and that's kind of what Hannibal is up to right now. But hopefully you guys are getting a good idea about this. I'm going to play for a little bit longer, but for now we'll carry on. So this is a very, very interesting new script that added into single player. It's war reparations. So at the beginning of the next year, Carthage will bestow a sum of gold upon Rome in accordance with the treaty signed after the Second Punic War. So I guess the Punic War has kind of just ended with that Battle of Zama, really. But we've won it this time, so it'd be nice. I'm sure there'll be options to not pay the war reparations. But basically, if you play as Rome and you win the Battle of Zama, you can enforce peace upon Carthage and, you know, make them pay. So what we're actually going to do here, we're actually going to go into... We can't go into forced march? That sucks. But either way, we want to make our way over to the cities because armies in cities pay a lot less in upkeep, so it's very important to grab that. I'm going to pick up a couple more units of infantry and probably pick up a unit of mercenaries to go over it and then kind of swing around and smash this faction right here. The Attilian League's going to war with Macedon, which is all normal stuff. Edicts have been issued, so that should hopefully sort out pretty much all our public order issues, which is huge because in ancient empires, cities are supposed to be a challenge to like wrestle with to become happy. So it's extremely important, like extremely good that we've got these cities happy early on. You're supposed to like have to wrestle and try and build buildings and stuff to make your cities happy. And that's supposed to be your kind of main investment. Like, you know, even a city like this, it's just unhappy because it's got no real positives right now. So you have to build some buildings, and it's great that Carthage. So we've kind of almost negated the first real big issue in ancient empires. Most of our places are happy right now, which is good. The next is kind of sanitation, because we don't want plague outbreaks. That really affects unhappiness and stuff. So we want to do that. Let's bring our fleet back in to port right now, just to go ahead and give ourselves a little bit more defense. You can make a little bit more money right now, but I'll get onto that in a second. Anyone else we can trade with right now that I'd really want to? Oh yeah, maybe Athens would be good. So one of the unfortunate things with just the mod being on Attila is that the modders can't change the campaign map at all, which really sucks. They can't move away around where cities are because the AI just won't understand it. They'll be like, oh, I did not realize that was a... Yeah, they'll basically just think that the city is where it is to begin with. You know, if you were to move Carthage to here, right here, the AI would still think Carthage is here, you know? There's no way of really convincing it otherwise. Now we have a bit more money, so we can stick another governor in, but none of these guys are really that good. Yeah, none of these guys are that great. I guess we do have someone with okay popularity, but like realistically you want someone with okay management and okay popularity. I guess you can just move in there, that's fine. You can just come down here, and again, we'll just do bread and games to help out with the happiness. Again, it will affect our culture, but I'm sure we can push on. We still have a decent amount of money, but I'm probably going to save my cash for another term. And try and build up a bit of a war chest, because it's very important. So, again, one of the big things that I think a lot of people maybe didn't like about this game was how, or this mod when it first came out, was how dramatic the seasons affected your economy. Now, I personally really enjoyed how dramatically seasons affected your economy, but I understand that it wasn't for everyone, and so they've kind of toned it down a lot. You will make less money in winter because you don't have your crops, you're not selling your crops or anything like that. And there's certain months that like certain seasons where you will be making a lot more money. You know, like, you know, when you're harvesting, you're making a lot more cash from agriculture. I think in the summer you make a lot more money from industry. In the winter, obviously, it's bad for everything, and you can barely recruit in winter as well, if not recruit at all, besides mercenaries. So the seasons do play a huge role in the campaign. Again, we got this notification. Sure. So what I want to show you guys now, so look at how much money we're making. We're making 1,300 gold. If I was to move Hannibal's army into the city, the upkeep cost of the army gets dramatically reduced. So this is to kind of represent the expenses of sending an army out on campaign. You know, having your baggage trains and supplies and other stuff funneling in through your armies whilst they're outside of cities. Whereas when they're in cities, they can much more effectively, you know, sustain themselves in a city. Just to kind of represent that. So, you know, you kind of almost have to build a war chest, send your armies out, take the economic hit, and then kind of go from there. Which is, again, is just such a cool mechanic, right? It really, really is. So we got a bit more money now. We could probably go down and develop a bit more of our provinces down here. We got sewers building. Our roads have now built as well, which is perfect. Yeah, that's great. Well, that's interesting as well. These traders and markets actually affect the culture in the adjacent regions. That's interesting. So maybe what we can do down here is build another building. Probably get like a metal workshop here or something. Some more industry, because we already have a stone quarry here. So it would make sense to maybe build a bit more industry down here. What do we want to do? Yeah, I think I mean, more land grants could be good as well. No, let's pick up a metalworks. This will give us access to more money from commerce and industry. So I think that's going to be a good idea. And again, you can see the time it takes. 8 turns to build that. But for example, if I was to build the exact same building over in this place? No, yeah, over in Carthage, it'd be a lot quicker because our governor is a lot more effective at managing the way that things work. So he'd be able to do it a lot quicker. 2 turns quicker, so he'd do it in 6 turns. So governors are really, really important. I think that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode, guys. If you enjoyed this and want to see another episode, get this video to 500 likes and we'll continue on the Punic War and we'll see what all the new scripts are about and stuff. Let me know what you think of Ancient Empires as well down below in the comments, because I think it's come a long way and I highly recommend that you guys go and check it out once again, because yeah, it's in a very, very good state right now. I'm having so much fun playing it, and I think you guys definitely will as well, especially if it was maybe a bit overwhelming at first. It's a lot more accessible right now, so I definitely recommend at least loading it back up. I'll leave a link down below in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one.